Hi, my name is Warren. Welcome to Little Kids Rock's online guitar tablature lesson for today. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. We're hoping that these videos can help you and your students learn during this time. Today, like I said, we're going to be going through guitar tablature. We're going to start off with some basic fundamentals, some basic principles, and get you and your students playing using this easy to notate guitar tool. The first thing that we're going to look at is part of the Little Kids Rock manual. It is the tablature explanation. All of the screenshots that you see right about here are going to be pulled from Little Kids Rock's website, the Jam Zone, where you can download all of our free curriculum, all of our free resources. There's lots of great guitar stuff, but also lots of other things to be able to download as well. So, as the slide says, tab, as they call it, short for tablature, is a cool way to read music for guitar or bass or ukulele or really any stringed instrument, and we read it from left to right just like a book. It tells us lots of things that we need to know to play songs. Now, a lot of people read guitar tablature as popular musicians as their primary way of reading music. So today we're going to jump right in and we're going to learn a little bit about how tab works and then see some examples of tablature written out with some familiar songs that you and your students will know. As you can see, the 6 lines on in tablature, in this case for the guitar, represent the 6 lines, or represent the 6 strings on the guitar. So if you see the high E, which is this string, all the way closest to your toes, the high E is on the top line. And then you can see through this diagram, the high E, then B, G, D, A, and E. Or on the right side of the diagram, you can see that the numbers are listed for the guitar strings instead of the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the important thing, like I said, is to remember that those 6 lines represent the 6 strings of the guitar. Now, this graphic paints a good picture of how we're actually looking at it, because it's flipped upside down. So really, what you're looking at is the guitar if you were holding it, but backwards. Now, the low E, like I said, is, even though it's closest to your nose, it's actually written as the lowest line there. So tablature has the lowest sounding note on the bottom. It's like looking down at the guitar on your lap. Your eyes see the low E string at the bottom of your field of view. So if you hold your guitar on your lap, holding it like this, and you look down, that's an easy way to view it. Now, if you're looking at it like this, that is another easy way to look at it. So let's keep moving. Like we said, the 6 lines represent the 6 strings of a guitar. Now, that's great to know, but what else do we do? Well, like this graphic says, the numbers show us what fret spaces to put our fingers. Now, when you teach guitar, you're often going to say things like, put your finger on the 2nd fret. And inevitably, you might think, oh, these metal bars here, they're the frets, so I will press my finger down and play. Well, that's not a great sound. So what you're going to want to do is make sure that you say things like, put your finger in the 2nd space, as opposed to on the fret. Now you can explain later that these are frets, but for early learners, pressing down in the 2nd space makes the most sense. Now, if you see in this graphic, we have some numbers written out on different strings. So in order to decode or decipher guitar tablature, what you have to do is say, what string am I on? And then the number corresponds to what fret you're supposed to be playing. So in this example, that top red arrow, a 2 written on string 4 tells us to play the 2nd fret of the D string. So I'll count up 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my 4th string. And I will move over from the 1st space to the 2nd space. I'll press that string down and I will play. Therefore, I've played that note, which is an E. In this case, my tablature told me the string and the fret. Now, the red arrow underneath points out a good piece of information. A 0 means that we don't play any frets, but we don't press down in any frets, but we play the open string. So a 0 on the 5th string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is played just like this, without pressing anything down. It's the note A. Now, as you can see in this diagram, we have 5 different notes. 0, 2, 2, 2, 0. Now what you might see is once you start pressing these things down, you might notice in this example you're actually playing an A chord. So what you want to do, as I've said, is go through tablature, make sure your string is correct, and then make sure your notes are correct. Now the one thing that tablature doesn't help us to do, it doesn't always help us to know the exact rhythm. It doesn't help us to always know the exact finger that you should use to press down in the fret. And it doesn't help us to know how long the notes are supposed to last for. But tablature being used in mostly popular music, you're always encouraged to use your ear, make sure you're listening and getting that song in your head before you play it, and then it should come a lot more easily. Like I said, there are some limitations to it, but Little Kids Rock is always trying to make sure those limitations are few in the ways that we've developed some of the tablature that you'll see in just a moment. So when notes are written next to each other, we should play one note at a time. For instance, I'm on the high E string, which is this string up here, and I'm going to be moving along, and I'm going to be playing open, then 2, I'm going to press down on the 2nd fret, then I'm going to press 3, then I'm going to press 2, and then back to open. Now these are great ways to teach students how to read tablature, but also to get some finger dexterity. In the beginning, one helpful tool is to make sure that you tell your students, if you're on the 1st fret, play it with your 1st finger on the guitar, which is your index finger. If you're on the 2nd fret, play it with your 2nd finger, which is your middle finger. 3rd fret, 3rd finger. 4th fret, 4th finger, which is your pinky. These types of rules really help out in the beginning when students attempt to always start playing everything with one finger and move it along. I always called that the one finger shuffle. So let's keep going. Now, tablature works best, like I said, when we already know how the songs sound. So to get used to it, let's look at a familiar melody written out in tab form. Like I said, tab, short for tablature. So the melody here is Mary Had a Little Lamb. And here's what the first 7 notes look like on tablature. So if you notice, we're only using 2 strings. And the great part about the way that Little Kids Rock develops these tablature sheets is that we're also notating some of the rhythm down below. So what you can see is these 7 notes are all occurring right on the downbeat, and it can be implied that the last note is held out for 2 beats. So here we go. Open, 3, 1, 3, open, open, open. Now, for a closer look, you can see it here. Open, 3, 1, 3, open, open, open. One more time. Open, 3, 1, 3, open, open, open. And like I've said, 1st fret, 1st finger, 2nd fret, 2nd finger, 3rd fret, 3rd finger, and 4th fret, 4th finger. These types of rules help your students not get confused as to which finger to always use and ways to get their hands in all sorts of funny positions. And we're back. So let's take a look at another famous melody. This is the famous riff from the theme to the TV show Peter Gunn. And what's great about this is that you can play it on either the high E string or the low E string. Because they're both tuned to E, the melody will work. So in this case, like I've said, Little Kids Rock has implemented the rhythm, if you notice, towards the bottom of the graphic. Now we're going to start on the low E, as the diagram says. And we're going to go 1, 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 5, 3. Now, you might ask, if a student might ask, well, I don't have a fifth finger, what should I do? It's pretty safe to assume that you should move your pinky all the way out to the 5th fret. Now, if you have some early learners and they're not used to playing the guitar, the pinky is going to be kind of tough. It's not so strong in the beginning. So always encourage your students to just get those notes down, even if they're just doing it with one finger. You know, at Little Kids Rock, we always want to make sure that anxiety level is kept down nice and low. So here we go. Let's try that again. 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 5, 3. 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 5, 3. And to see it up on the high E, the same frets apply. 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 5, 3. For a closer look at that, check out this. Now, one thing that you've noticed is that I am not abiding by my 2 on 2, 3 on 3. I've actually shifted my hand up because it makes a little more sense. So I can use my 1st, 2nd, and 4th fingers. 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 5, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 5, 3. Yes, it appears I messed up that first one, but that's okay. We're going to keep going. So let's hear it on the high E string. 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 5, 3, 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 5, 3. And we're back. Now, one of the great parts about using tab is that you can download a blank tab sheet from the Little Kids Rock teacher manual that you can see right here. You can take any melody that you know of and transcribe it right into tab. It's a great tool for your students to use and for you to use if you're teaching students some complicated riffs, some soloing patterns, or anything that requires the use of guitar tab. So let's move on to something a little more complicated. Now, if you take a look at this melody right here, it's from the familiar tune Puff the Magic Dragon. Now, what I love about this Weebly site that's listed here in that graphic is that the chords are written out, there's a tempo, the melody's written out in standard notation, and the guitar tab is there for you to use. With early learners, this is great. They know the song, they're able to use the guitar tab, and then if you feel like it's pertinent for your classroom context, you can correlate the tab to the standard music notation. After that, some more scaffolding. You could have other students play chords, and you could have someone sing it. All the music is right there. So let's try this out. If you notice, the first 5 notes are all on the 2nd string. So it would sound like this. 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. Now, watch out for that, because some students might get a little tripped up in shifting strings. That's a new concept for this beginning lesson. Encourage them to take a look at the music beforehand and take a look at all the string jumps. In this case, for Puff the Magic Dragon, four strings are being used in this tune. So this is a great one as students progress on. So let's try 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 2, 1, 1, 0, 0, 3, 3, 0, 3, 2, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 0, 1, 3. So that's the first line of Puff the Magic Dragon. If you want to encourage your students to collaborate virtually, there are many different apps that Little Kids Rock has listed on their website to get students to be able to play with each other remotely. So you could have one student playing some chords and one student playing the melody. One more time with that melody up close. Here we go. Now, Puff the Magic Dragon is just one of many, many examples that you can find on this website, but also on many others throughout the internet. Tab is a great tool. It's how popular musicians learn. If you've ever wanted to go ahead and play a complicated guitar solo and you've seen the music written out in standard notation, it just doesn't make a lot of sense because a lot of the guitar players who are learning it using tab and using their ears to decipher where the notes happen. So be careful, when you're looking at tab to know that it's not all written out precisely just like standard music notation, but you're supposed to use your ear. You're supposed to listen and recreate with a lot of these examples. So as this series progresses, we'll get a little harder with the difficulty level throughout using guitar tab. But it's always important to kind of reinforce, like I said, to your students that when they're looking at the guitar, put it down on their lap and look at it. And that is a good representation of how guitar tab works. Remember to tell your students to press down in the frets. Try to get away from saying press down on the second fret. It makes much more sense to a student who has not learned a lot about the guitar to simply say, put your finger inside the second box. And you could say your middle finger, your ring finger, your index finger before you get into what fingers are what numbers. At Little Kids Rock, we always want to make sure students are comfortable in learning and they don't feel anxiety when you use lots of big fancy terms. So I hope this lesson has been helpful to you. I hope that guitar tablature is something that you investigate with your students. If you go to places like ultimateguitar.com, that site is chock full of every guitar tab you could ever wish for. If you wanted to learn how to play a shredding guitar solo from Guns N' Roses, or you wanted to play Puff the Magic Dragon, or a multitude of kids songs with your students, it's a great site to visit. Again, I'll find most of my guitar tab wants by using that guitar tab sheet that's found on Little Kids Rock's website, the Jam Zone, where I can take any melody and write it in tablature. Now, a great example is if I know a song and I see the tab but it's not in the right key and I need to rewrite it for a student, I can do that with those blank guitar tab sheets. I wish you all the best in these times. I hope that this video has been helpful, and I wish you all the best. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.